All right, let's break it down. So we got some mobility things we got to get better at. We got to get better at the, and all this is going to apply to the things that are really going to get you into the 80s. We definitely need more trunk rotation. So that's good. This is a limited amount. So as your hips are open, you're going to have a hard time keeping your trunk loose. Your hip abduction's tight. So same thing. You're going to have a hard time moving lateral or moving sideways down the mount. That's where we get our momentum. So it's going to take away from that. Or you're going to collapse your leg when you go to peak your momentum. Your ankle mobility on your right side is way down. Have you hurt your right ankle?
Yeah, I broke it.
Right, so you haven't rebuilt it. We've got to restore it and work on that because it's probably weak, which is going to affect how you accelerate out of your back leg. Your hip rotation's not too bad. Your hip flexion's good. Your hip extension is good. I think the only big one was trunk rotation and your ankles. That'll be a big improvement. Your grip strength is weak. Your total body strength is really weak. So that's what I was saying. Like, if you just spend a good year in the weight room, you'll be upper 80s. Your jumps are, average, below average. So the good news is not much mobility challenges, which is great. And the big challenge, the things we got to get better at is like size and strength. And those are the things you can really, really influence if you really work, if you want to work. And like I said, with your great spin, you do that kind of work, you're going to get huge rewards out of it. So if we take you out of your leg lift, you can see you're squatting too early. I like how you're lowering your squat. I'm surprised you can even squat like that because your overall strength wasn't that great. But we have to move forward as we move down. Now you're in a position where you're ready to drive, but your shin's vertical, so now you can't drive. So you're just going to swing your front leg open and collapse your back leg. Okay. So that's pretty much just a purely rotational lower half. And now you're going to be battling rotation all the way up, meaning everything's going to want to fly away from the target. So this is your kinematic sequence. This is how things are accelerated. Like the red is the hip speeds, like on the avatar, the green is the trunk. This is time, this is degrees per second. So if something's going quick, it goes up and down fast. Notice on the red, your hip speeds. Right here, it ran out of power. The moment your knee went down, you lost all the power in your hips. And it even dropped off. Then you landed, and then it peaked up from the land, and then it considerably dropped off again. Notice too, when you land, look where you're landing. Like literally pointing to the third base dugout. Look where your glove is when you land, okay? So you're completely open. This is called early trunk rotation, and it's detrimental to your arm. See, it's called hyperangulation, your elbows behind your back. Right. So I'm actually shocked you have such good spin like this, but this is why you have good spin. Your arm comes through well. It doesn't even really pick it up there. It accelerates. So your arm is actually moving really fast. So here's the thing. This is the product right now of a fast arm, but you're throwing 76. That's why it looks so good, because your arm is accelerating so well. But I can't get you to go another 10 miles an hour, 15 miles an hour with your arm. We'll blow it out. Mm-hmm. So we've got to fix all this so the arm doesn't have to accelerate to throw harder. And then you're going to learn how that actually works, because that's why this looks so good. But it shouldn't. This looks like a 90 mile an hour pitch it's 76, and that's because these biomechanics are so poor. For example, when you're landing, you're wide open. When we land right here, this trunk has to be all the way coiled back. It's going to allow your arm to move better with your trunk and not hyperangulate or drag behind your trunk. That's going to allow your hips to fully peak, and then your trunk to peak later. So notice how if the hips were to actually peak, they would have peaked here, and the trunk is peaking with them. Right. That's because your front leg swung open, your glove swung open, and everything came around together. We've got to learn to separate. We've got to learn to drive the hips, delay the trunk, and allow the trunk to go forward. So you're not going to have any forward release. I mean, you have a little bit because you extended your front leg. You would have had a lot of forward release or forward momentum in your trunk if you would have actually moved laterally down the mount. You quickly went into rotation. Right. So we've got to learn how to fall forward and out in the same rate, open in a full stride, not in a short stride. We don't want to open in a short stride. We want to open in a full stride, and then we want to peak and triple extend the back leg into that stride as we delay our trunk, and then we're going to get all this trunk power forward. So here's the thing. You know, now that I see your biomechanics, we got some real issues in your biomechanics. So we need to take, obviously, all the athleticism that I want you to improve, and now you need to learn these better movements, and then that's, to be honest, if you could, and this rarely happens, in these 2 days, if you could learn to delay your trunk, if you could learn to separate in these 2 days, I hate to rush you, you might even see 80 plus today or tomorrow if you can do that. But if not, in the next couple of weeks, you'll probably see it because you are just so badly flying open. So in this camp, let's learn how to keep your trunk closed as you drive the plate and drive your hips. You start to do that, you're probably already going to see great results.
Yes.
Okay, because that's such a bad flying open or early trunk rotation, which is really hard on your arm and it just destroys your velocity. So let's fix that. Then let's attack the weight room and get bigger, stronger, faster. And then we already see good spin out of you, and then ultimately you'll get the velos, and then all this will come together.
Yes, sir.